Nelson Mandela is dead. Here's what you need to know. So Nelson Mandela is dead, and he is, of course, being praised around the world as one of the true heroic figures of the 20th and 21st centuries. A man who stood so resolutely for his own principles that he spent decades in prison. Now, here's what you don't know, because it's not going to get as much media coverage. All the conservatives who are praising Nelson Mandela, along with everyone else, are utter detestable liars. They vilified Mandela his whole career when it counted. They discounted him as a socialist, a terrorist, a communist. Prominent conservative icons like Jesse Helms turned his back on Mandela when he came to Washington. And as recently as last night, Bill O'Reilly was saying Nelson Mandela is a socialist, i.e. he's completely illegitimate and beyond the pale. So folks, let this be a reminder to you. When conservatives call someone a socialist, it's quite often in the mold of Nelson Mandela. Someone simply trying to stand up for justice, often against white oppression. Someone standing up against out-and-out apartheid is a socialist, by definition in their view. Conservatives reflexively were on the side of the white supremacist in South Africa for decade after decade after decade. It's only, there's one thing that is honest about conservatives. They say they admire Nelson Mandela now. 99% of that is a complete utter lie. They hated him, called him a communist, put him on terrorist watch organizations. But there is one thing they do admire about Nelson Mandela, although they won't admit it. He's dead, because that's exactly where conservatives want any liberal, progressive, or man on the left who has political power in this world. They want him dead. So by that standard, sure, they admire Nelson Mandela. But here's the thing, conservative, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, of course we respect Nelson Mandela, but Barack Obama, he's awful, he's beyond the pale. Because mark my words, one day when Obama is long out of office and some other moderate, milquetoast, middle-of-the-road Democrat is in office, conservatives are going to say, well, this new Democrat, he's a socialist communist. If only if he were a good Democrat like Barack Obama, who gave us free enterprise principle health care like his Obamacare and listened to conservative. That's what they'll be saying. So it's an utterly disgusting, vile practice conservatives have of demonizing, vilifying any non-conservative in power. We saw it throughout Mandela's entire career, his entire life. Now that he's dead, they want to whitewash all that. Well, this is at least one, if not one of the only media outlets in the world that refuses to play that game. Also in the news, some apparently good news regarding the economy. 203,000 jobs were added to the economy in the last month, according to the federal government. Unemployment is now at a 5-year low, 7%. Forgive me for not jumping up and down with excitement, but this is still an anemic economy. The fact that the unemployment rate is going down is in part because so many Americans have simply given up hope. Remember, you're not counted as unemployed if you are no longer looking for a job. Our society has countless young people who graduate from college the last 5 years, 22, 23, 27, massive student loans. They've never been able to get their first job. It's simply a demographic blunder on their part. If they'd been born 5 years earlier, they would be in fine shape and would be on track with their careers. So our economy is still in bad shape, folks, entirely because of conservatives and their desire to shut government spending down, and their desire, and this part was aided by Democrats too, to let Wall Street banks do whatever they want to destroy this economy. Finally, I'm not seeing a lot of it, but at least there's a few trickles out there. This one comes from Alan Colmes' website, Liberal Land, which is a great website. And a writer there makes the point that Bashir is gone for stuff that Limbaugh gets away with every day. And for a while, I thought I was the only person in the world upset by Martin Bashir being let go for stating obvious, truthful things in a clever way about Sarah Palin. Finally, a few other people out there are paying attention. But it's, again, I reiterate my pledge to you yesterday. I will never watch MSNBC again for the shabby way they treated Martin Bashir. Bashir deserves a promotion. He deserves a raise. He deserves a primetime slot on MSNBC. Why are so many conservative Americans anti-Catholic and anti-Christian? Now, I'm joking a little bit, but it's just funny to see all these prominent conservatives in American media attacking Pope Francis. Now, this Pope, look, I'm no fan of any Pope, but this Pope is saying all sorts of liberal, progressive, even left-wing things, from saying nice things about atheists to attacking commercialism. And now you've got the situation where more and more conservatives are attacking him. This Judge Napolitano character over at Fox is condemning him and says that he's disturbingly ignorant. Well, if you're a Catholic, and I'm not, if you're a Catholic, you're supposed to believe that the Pope is infallible. Calling him disturbingly ignorant is a bit, shall we say, blasphemous. More commentary coming in about this whole issue of Newsweek going back into print. One wit over at Mediaite says, okay, bring Newsweek back to print, fine. Why not reopen Blockbuster stores? I think that pretty much says it all. Clueless soundbite and demagoguery of the day goes to Monica Crowley over at Fox News. Here's what she says about Obama. Obama is, quote, essentially a socialist who believes in waging the class warfare. Now, folks, this term socialist is bandied about a great deal. What does it actually mean? Well, I hate to tell you this, but if you believe in public schools, you're a socialist. That's an idea that came from Karl Marx. You're socializing the cost of education. Do you have a public park in your town? Here I'm in New York City. We have Central Park. If you want to preserve Central Park or the park in your town, you're a socialist. That is socializing land for the benefit of all of society. Now, here's one you're not going to like. If you believe in a defense department, if you supported Ronald Reagan and his build-up against the Soviet Union, you're a socialist. You are in favor of socializing defense cost. Because if you live on a farm out in Kansas and you're 100 miles away from the nearest town, you are never at risk of the Soviet Union targeting you, bombing you, sending soldiers over in the middle of the night and taking over your... You were never at risk. So when you were taxed and your money went from your pocket to the Defense Department to build the Reagan defense, that was redistribution. That was redistribution of wealth from this Kansas farmer's pocket to protect people who live in Washington, D.C. and New York City. And yet, the so-called conservatives are so against income redistribution. They never complained about that. Why? It's because they're socialists. They're just hypocrites and liars, too. And Monica Crowley, it's disturbing because I remember her when I used to debate her regularly on Fox in the 90s, and she seemed very rational, intelligent, has PhDs from Ivy League universities, but she's been sucked into that right-wing noise machine so long that nothing seems to come out of her mouth other than utter demagogic drool. And I guess that's what it takes to do well over at Fox, but it is a bit sad. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. Post your comments If you have any suggestions for topics you'd like us to address here, let me know right here.